Viewers, a political storm over halal certification is back in the news. In the Supreme Court, the Yogi government has defended the ban imposed on halal-certified products within the state in an order issued on in November 2023. In fact, Solicitor General Tushar Mehta, who is representing the UP government, has expressed shock at halal tag being found even on non-meat items such as cement, iron bars and water bottles. He has highlighted the absurdity and misuse of halal certification, which is actually meant as a marker for adherence to Islamic dietary laws. Let's take a look at the UP government stand in the top court. The first contention is that he was shocked to see the halal tag even on non-meat products, is what Tushar Mehta has said. He says that why is there a halal tag on cement, iron bars and even water bottles? The third contention is that the halal tag is to lure customers of a certain faith. The fourth contention is that there's a malicious attempt to discourage non-halal items, which he has stated. He also goes on to say that there's a strategy to sow hatred and create divisions in this. The sixth contention is that there's an attempt by anti-national elements to weaken the nation. Contention number 7 is that halal certification makes items costlier than they are. He's also gone on to contend that agencies collect crores of rupees for halal certification. Now, this issue has once again sparked off a political face-off, with opposition calling the ban on halal products an assault on choice.
बदकिस्मती है कि यूपी के अंदर ये बहुत सी बीमारियां इस तरह फैलने वाली हैं, तो किसी भी स्टेज के ऊपर इसको रोका जाना चाहिए। इस तरह का प्रोपेगेंडा गलत है और ये मुल्क को नुकसान करेगा। पहली चीज़ यह है कि वो खरीदने वाले की चॉइस है कि वो किसको खरीदता है, हराम को खरीदता है या हलाल को खरीदता है, ये उसकी चॉइस है। उसमें तुषार मेहता का सर्टिफिकेट नहीं चाहिए। यह है तो बाकी चीज़ों को भी देखना चाहिए, बाकी कम्युनिटीज़ को भी देखना चाहिए। एक कम्युनिटी को टारगेट क्यों किया जाता है?
क्या हलाल और हराम की बात करते हो? मैं तो एक ही बात कहूँगा, पहले गाय माता को बचा लो, योगी आदित्यनाथ जी, और उत्तर प्रदेश का बीजेपी सरकार का अमला, इसके बाद बताना।
People who prefer to have halal needs to get ensured that there is some certification. Why are they targeting halal alone? It's a political move than regarding anything else.
ये एक पैरेलल इकोनॉमी खड़ा करने का काम कर रहे हैं, इकोनॉमी में डिवीजन करने का काम कर रहे हैं, मजहब के आधार पर गोलबंदी करने का काम कर रहे हैं, और ये स्वीकार नहीं किया जा सकता है। राज्य सरकार के पास शिकायत है, राज्य सरकार ने जांच की और जांच करने के बाद इसको बैन करने का काम किया है।
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Across to all our guests now. Joining us is Siddharth Yadav, national spokesperson of the BJP. Ishkaran Bhandari is advocate in the Supreme Court. Dr. Anand Ranganathan, author, is with us. We also have with us Tehseen Poonawala, political analyst. Anurag Bhadoria, national spokesperson of SP. Tausif Ahmed Khan is a lawyer and political analyst as well. Let me begin straight off with you, Tehseen. The big question that's being asked is that why have a halal certification for non-food items? There is cement, there are iron bars, sariyas that are used in construction, bottled water. Why would in these non-food or non-meat items, why would there be a halal certification in the first place? Can you explain that?
Good evening, Madhav. Thank you so much for having me on the show. First of all, both the UP government and the union government agree that halal is required for meat items. As long as we clarify that, that is out of the way. So now the question is why on non-meat items or cement, etc. Now, halal in short means it's what's allowed in Islam. I agree. Maybe it's a marketing tactic. Maybe it is making the product expensive. But I'm a free market believer. If somebody wants to go and buy something because they believe that it is good for their belief, who is the government to stop it? That is ultra-wise of the right. Is, for example, Siddharth Bhai or Anand, who's an atheist like me, or Ishkaran being forced to buy it, or Anurag? No. If it's a marketing thing, somebody saying, look, this cement is allowed in your religion, that's fine, let them buy it. As long as it's not transgressing on somebody else's faith. Is it by any way harming any rights of Siddharth Bhai? But isn't that misleading,
Tehseen, because there is nothing to do with the Islamic faith? Where is it written that either construction material should be halal? Can you tell us? Is there some kind of religious practice that defines what is, a halal iron rod or what is a halal cement bag?
So then you can have a disclaimer down that this is not required by religion. You put that line down. But when you stop free markets, I'll tell you what, if I'm a businessman and I'm selling something, it's a free market. Allow markets to be sold. I'm very scared, as much as I disagree with halal cement, I'm very scared with government stepping in. This is not the government's job. I'm again saying, somebody wants to watch something that is
No, but the government's job is to allow for agencies and accredited agencies who will certify halal food. And that is fine, halal meat particularly. That is the job of the government.
Great.
But that's where it ends.
So Madhav, may I reply to that? So the government certified agency put a disclaimer down as only meant to certify meats and ended there, food products.
Let me bring in Ishkaran. Ishkaran wants to respond to you on that. Ishkaran, what does the law say? Does the law allow for the government to intervene in this matter? Because he's saying he's fearing government intervention in what is otherwise a matter for free markets. Is that the case?
And it's not taking away someone else.
Ishkaran.
No, firstly, everything does not come under the concept of free market. For example, you cannot exclude anybody on the basis of race, color, caste or creed from any restaurant, any bus, anywhere in the world, or at least civilized world, and say it's free market. It's our bus. We believe people of only a certain class or a caste or a religion or a color should come in that bus. That is also a free market. Entire world has banned that as racism or apartheid or caste issues. So it's not so simple as Tehseen is trying to say. Even in non-veg, in the veg category, of course, it is nothing but a parallel economy which can devastate any country, because then what you are doing is you are giving a signal to certain people that only please buy this, and you are forcing, in a sense, because of economic pressure on shopkeepers, that you keep only this. And what about captive spaces like airlines and railways and other canteens, movie halls, where you don't have the resources to have buy products from 5 different categories. So even in non-veg, it is a separate issue which the court is talking about. But even in non-veg, as I was saying, if a non-Muslim cannot be a part of the process, is it legal? That is pending challenge. If a non-Muslim cannot be part, are you excluding certain people? And what happens to their rights, especially of the SC, ST community? Is it permissible under our constitution? That's a separate legal issue we have to see. Third issue which comes in here is, it cannot be that for having property and how to acquire property, you have a Waqf Act, which is in itself a separate code. To marriage and to have your personal life, you have a separate code. To what you eat, you have a separate code which the government cannot even regulate. We're talking about regulating, because the court is not, the government is not arguing about banning halal meat, and I do not think they should ban it. People who want to have it should have it. But what are the regulations applicable on it? And would any shopkeeper who's saying I have halal meat, is he also forced to then keep jhatka meat? Is he also by law made to ensure that he keeps...
I think there are a number of points there. Anurag,
just one line.
No, let me bring in others, please. We have other panelists also. Anurag Bhadoria, simple सवाल ये है कि अगर हम हलाल मीट को सर्टिफाई कर रहे हैं, उसमें कोई दिक्कत नहीं, और सरकार ने भी, आपने देखा होगा, जो तुषार मेहता कह रहे हैं कोर्ट में, उनका ये कहना है कि हम कहीं भी हलाल मीट को की ओर इशारा नहीं कर रहे हैं. हाँ, इशारा जो है वो, और इसमें भी एक्सपोर्ट्स के लेकर जो प्रोडक्ट्स है उसको लेकर भी कोई रिस्ट्रिक्शंस नहीं है. लेकिन सवाल ये उठता है कि अगर हम हलाल मीट की बात करते हैं कि जो लोग या जिसके धर्म पे, जैसे मान लीजिए सिख धर्म में, जैसे कि आप भी जानते हैं, हलाल मीट प्रोहिबिटेड है, झटका मीट ही सिर्फ अलाउड है, तो कहीं ना कहीं क्या एक डिस्क्रिमिनेटरी प्रैक्टिस को हम कहीं ना कहीं एक सोसाइटी में एक स्थान दे रहे हैं. अनुराग,
देखिए, एक चीज को तो आपको मानना पड़ेगा कि 1947 से देश आजाद हुआ. इसके पहले कई सरकारें आई, कई सरकारें गई. जिनको हलाला खाना था वो हलाला खाते थे, जिनको झटका खाना था झटके से खाते थे. अचानक जब से भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार आई है, तो इस चीज को एक इतना इशू बनाने की क्या जरूरत हो गई, मुझे ये नहीं समझ में आया. पहले भी तो लोग खा ही रहे थे ना. जिनको हलाला खाना था वो पूछते थे, कहते थे हलाला है, खाते हैं.
खाने पे तो कोई रोक नहीं है ना सर.
झटका है, हलाला है.
रोक तो नॉन फूड आइटम्स पे है.
मेरी बात सुनिए, हम तो ऐसे ही बड़े हुए. अरे सर,
तो अभी भी अलाउड है, अभी भी हलाल अलाउड है खाना, किसी ने मना तो नहीं किया.
सुनिए ना मेरी बात तो. अरे भाई, मैं किसी के बीच, मेरी बात सुन तो लीजिए, मेरे सामने टीवी नहीं. मैं आपसे क्या कह रहा हूं, ये जो मुद्दे भारतीय जनता पार्टी ये जो उठा के लाके गर्म करती है, क्यों? जैसे ही चुनाव आता है वो एक कहते हैं झोले में डाल के रखती है. हाँ, अभी कहां यूसीसी नहीं मिल रहा, यूसीसी कहां है, हाँ यूसीसी निकल गया, हाँ इस पे चलो बात करते हैं। किधर वक्फ बोर्ड है, इधर आओ झोले में से वक्फ बोर्ड आ गया, हाँ इस पे चर्चा करते हैं। फिर वो हलाला और झटका जल्दी खोजो कहां है, फिर उसको ले आए। मतलब क्या हो रहा है देश के अंदर में? माने आप जैसे ही चुनाव आता है इन मुद्दों को गर्म करने लग जाते हैं। इन मुद्दों पे
सीमेंट में वक्फ बोर्ड कहां आ गया मुझे पता नहीं, लेकिन ये कोर्ट प्रोसीडिंग के दौरान ही किया गया है।
अरे मैं बता रहा हूं ना, जिस तरह आप सुनिए मेरी बात सुनिए, आप समाज में असली मुद्दों पे बात नहीं करना चाहते। क्या आदमी के असली मुद्दे खत्म हो गए? क्या महिलाओं पे अत्याचार खत्म, बेरोजगारी खत्म, महंगाई खत्म, किसानों की समस्याएं खत्म? और जो लोग परेशान है रोज धरना देते हैं कि एक आप जाइए तो गांव में सबको इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर मिल गया, बिजली सबको मिल रही है, पानी मिल रहा है, कमाल की बात है। क्या सबको शुद्ध खाना मिल रहा है? अगर खाने की बात कर लें, क्या सबको शुद्ध खाना मिल रहा है? क्या इसकी गारंटी सरकार ले रही है कि शुद्ध खाना मिल रहा है कि नहीं मिल रहा है? भाई इसमें कोई चर्चा नहीं कि शुद्ध खाना मिल रहा नहीं कर, हम क्या खा रहे हैं मुझे पता ही नहीं।
सिद्धार्थ यादव,
हम जो खाना
सिद्धार्थ यादव, चुनाव आते ही इस तरह के मोटिव इश्यूज बाहर आ जाते हैं और डेवलपमेंट के इश्यूज को you're somewhere trying to push them into the back burner by raising such emotive issues whenever there are elections round the corners. The charge of the SP spokesperson. जवाब दीजिए।
Madhav, I'll reply on 3 fronts. Number 1, the Samajwadi Party spokesperson Anurag Ji is saying कि कोई बात नहीं करता है खाने पर, बेरोजगारी पर, कोई बात नहीं करता सुरक्षा पर। जब आप सत्ता में थे आपने तो कभी भी नहीं करी। You were always counterproductive. तब तो आपको एक बात भी याद नहीं है, बट आज आप बात करना चाह रहे हैं कोर्ट प्रोसीडिंग्स पर एंड यू डू नॉट इवन नो द डिफरेंस बिटवीन हलाला एंड हलाल। तो जाकर के पहले थोड़ा सा डिक्शनरी को पढ़ करके आइए, पता करके आइए कि हलाला क्या होता है और हलाल क्या होता है। मेरे को पता है कि आपका मुस्लिम प्रेम बहुत ज्यादा है, पर दोनों चीजें अगर एक है, अगर आपको ऐसा लगता है तो मैं आपकी ज्ञान का वर्धन रात को 10 बजे नहीं कर सकता, मैं माफी चाहूंगा। पॉइंट नंबर 2, अभी तहसीन जी ने क्या बोला? आई वॉज नॉट स्पीकिंग व्हाइल यू वर स्पीकिंग। नाउ तहसीन जी वाज सेइंग that we should have a free market, and that is why on a very serious note I wish to say this. It is about a free market. What is happening today is, Madhav, that on the pretext of this halal certification, lot of companies, lot of businesses are being forced to get this halal certification on a price which is ultimately, the burden of that is taken by the consumer. The money of that certification, God knows where it goes. It is not a government certification. The companies have to take that. Now, all of us know what a parallel economy is being built from that money. The usage of that money is also under question. And the larger question is, how can the products which are being brought under the halal certification, how can they be halal or non-halal? Can cement be, floor be, lipstick, skincare products, sanitary products, toilet cleaners, can these be halal or non-halal? What is this new kind of halal jihad that is happening on the businesses in our country which are being forced that you have to take this halal certification, pay a certain money, and if you don't pay that, a certain section will probably not buy the product. This is a large population. I think this must be questioned, and it is very rightly being done so by the UP government in the top court of the country.
I'm going to come. Many hands going up.
Problem should go and join the.
Many hands going up. Tehseen and Dr. Agnath, I'm coming to both of you in just a minute. I want to bring in Tausif also into this debate, because Tausif, this is the question, and this is the point being made by the Solicitor General. He's saying that there are agencies that are profiteering. His allegations that they've made lakhs of crores. Even if it's not lakhs of crores, the point is, just on the basis of certifying certain products to this halal standard, even if they don't merit it, and they're not even food products, in some cases not even meat products, at least for the most part, is this really justified? And what is really justifying the enriching of these agencies apart from the fact that they've been accredited to the government?
Look, at least the Solicitor General's submission before the court is an admission that the ban by the Uttar Pradesh government, the blanket ban on halal certification, is unconstitutional per se, at least in his admission with regard to the meat. Now that's a setback for the Yogi government, who so romanticizes with these ideas, that he came up with, where he says that a consumer has a choice to find out a shopkeeper's religion, so that a certain consumer from a certain religion will go and buy only from a certain shopkeeper from a certain religion. That is why the shopkeeper has to display the name. So he also realizes that a consumer has a choice, he has a right of choice to buy only a halal food. The Constitution of India gives this fundamental right to the consumer to eat as per their liking, whether they want to buy halal food or a haram food. There are bottles which has a label of veg or non-veg. There are many food items which has a label of veg or non-veg. Now similarly,
Tausif, what is halal vegetarian food? Is there some definition of that? The definition of halal non-vegetarian is very clearly defined.
If you go,
what is the halal vegetarian food?
You have traveled to first world countries. I'm telling you, I'm sure you have traveled to first world countries and you have been to any of the supermarket and you pick up any food product and you will see there's a certification of halal. So please do not make this as if, this is something...
I'm asking you a simple question. I'm not worried about the third world. I'm least worried. We're all living in India. We're all living in India. Simple question to you. What is halal vegetarian food? Please define it.
Yeah, a third world country.
Sir, do you want to answer the question, Tausif? I'm giving you a third opportunity. What is halal vegetarian food? If you have an answer, please give it now. Instead of meandering here and there, please give the proper direct answer to that.
I'm giving you the definition of halal in the central policy is not limited only to non-vegetarian food item. It is not limited only to meat.
So define it for us.
So if there is some objection on the labeling of halal, then there has to be, the government has to put a reasonable ban. There cannot be a blanket ban, because that deprives the consumer.
That is exactly what the government says it's doing. You're saying that the government doing it is wrong, the government not doing it is wrong. Dr. Ranganathan, I'm not getting the logic here.
No, I'm not surprised you're not getting the logic, but if we carry on like this, good evening, Madhav, the day is not far when people like Tausif and others from his community will refuse to come to your studio if it is not halal certified. So please make sure that your studio is halal certified. God knows what that means. As you've asked repeatedly over the last half an hour, what does it mean to have a cement that is halal certified? That means the company that makes it is following Islamic practices. The laborers are Muslims. What does it mean? You can still have an animal killing ritual which is halal for making meats that follow an Islamic ritual, i.e. the head of the animal has to face the Kaaba, you have to do 3 or 4 things, you have to utter Bismillah Rahman Rahim, you have to have only a Muslim perform in it. That is still having Islamic rituals in having the meat being processed through the halal way. But having cement being made, sofas being made the halal way, nobody has been able to explain over the last half an hour what does it mean. Number one. Number two, I think we should do away with laws in this country, Madhav, because nobody reads them. What's the point of having laws? Now one person was saying कि Yogi was being discriminatory कि label लगाओ बताओ कौन है. अरे भाई ये FSAI का law है. अगर आपको इस देश में खाना बेचना है तो आपको एक FSSAI का सर्टिफिकेट लगाना है, उस पे आपका नाम और आपकी दुकान का नाम बाय लॉ लगाना पड़ेगा. ये योगी जी ने नहीं कर दिया. Number two, as far as my good friend Tehseen is concerned, now this is really embarrassing, because when he says I am for free market, I am also from free market. But being from free market doesn't mean that you can allow discriminatory practices. There you can restrict labor to only belonging to one particular religion. That is discriminatory, and that is what at least the processing of halal meat is. Only a Muslim who then utters Bismillah Rahman Rahim is allowed to process food through halal. Number one, so that is discriminatory. Number two, can we have multiple agencies that certify a food as being vegetarian? What is the role of the government out here? It is not curtailing free market if the government is regulating the free market. For example, you can have multiple telephone agencies, but try is there. It is essentiality. There should be only one center to process and say certified this is vegetarian or not. Should we have 10 independent private agencies signifying that this is green dot, this is red dot? What is Tehseen talking about? Likewise, this is a parallel economy being run, because you have non-government agencies that are minting money, tens of thousands of crores, and some of that money is also going against Indian interests for terrorist activities. This has been proven. Yeah, number two, now let me quote law, just give me 30 seconds. Why do we need multiple official agencies to certify food and other products? Because this is an open invitation for corruption and blackmail, and that is what is happening now. The UP government order states, quote, please bear with me. The right to decide the quality of food items lies only with the authorities mentioned under the Food Safety and Standards Act 2006.
Okay.
Thus, halal certification of food products is a parallel system which creates confusion regarding the quality of food items and is completely against the basic intention of the said act and is not tenable under section 89 of the said act. Act पढ़ा नहीं है, योगी को ब्लेम कर रहे हैं कि ये हिंदुत्व आ गया।
Okay.
और ये आधे लोग तो लॉयर बैठे हैं।
Okay, Tehseen, come in on that. Tehseen, end of the day, free market, people may be for a free market, but there are certain limits to that. And, you know, end of the day, there are certain rights and restrictions also that the Constitution specifies. While it grants certain rights, there are also certain duties of citizens, aren't there?
True. What your audiences saw on Times Now is my friends from the right or who support the right completely take this debate to the meat, which is not what Tushar Mehta was arguing. And I started with it's not about me, but that's the only thing they could argue because there's nothing else to argue. So now let's come to what was being asked. Siddharth Bhai and Ishkaran and Anand said, what is this? This is discriminatory. But none of them could explain to you and your audiences, how is banning a cement halal discriminatory to somebody else? I am not forcing Anand, Ishkaran or Siddharth to buy it or not buy it. There is a market force. If somebody wants to buy it, buy it. They don't want to buy it, don't buy it. That is point number one. Similarly, what the government should have been concerned about is the friend of the current government actually getting out medicines to
No, but Tehseen, isn't it misuse of isn't it misuse of a provision that has been made on a religious ground for a certain specific purpose?
No, it isn't. Please, may I please?
It's not only for
I never
food.
interrupted you. It's not. Please.
No, Tehseen, 30 seconds. Quickly respond to that.
Because the central government provisions in this do not restrict it only to meats. They restrict it to other things. Should it go on to other items? Let there be a debate or let there be a certification on that. But you cannot ban something in a free market.
Well, it's for the governments to take that call and for the courts to decide if the governments are right or wrong. Ishkaran, quickly respond to that because there is a contention being made over here that, you know, isn't it taking away from the right to practice one's religion? That's the contention coming in from various opposition parties today. Ishkaran, please.
Madhav, legally, please understand there are three separate categories being argued. One is meat, second is vegetarian food, the third is the omnibus from cement to electrical pipes, right? Or Saria. So they are three separate categories and arguments on three separate will be different. For example, on meat, as I said, under free market, you cannot say I have a light skin tone, so only I will sit in the bus and this bus is meant for only light skin tone. And if you have a dark skin tone, you please don't come in this bus, and that is banned. That is not allowed. Similarly, are you excluding non-Muslims from this profession? If you are, then is it valid under the Constitution? To my mind, it is not valid under our constitutional scheme, and also our laws protecting various communities, it is not valid. But that's for the court to decide. Now to the other two categories. To give any certificate, first explain what the certificate is. What is a halal cement? What is a halal water pipe? Is that meaning also that every person involved in manufacturing that pipe a Muslim? If you are applying the logic of how you are manufacturing halal meat, and if that is the logic, then that will fall foul on various grounds under our legal system. So first define what do you mean by it.
Okay, Anurag Bhadoria, one quick round, please. I want everyone to come in and get a quick chance. Tehseen, just please wait on. Anurag Bhadoria, क्या हलाल सीमेंट क्या होता है, हलाल सरिया क्या होता है, क्या आप हमारे दर्शकों को समझा सकते हैं?
मैंने तो अभी एक आपके पैनलिस्ट बीच कह रहे थे कि जो पैसा एजेंसीज ले रही है देश के अगेंस्ट में भी इस्तेमाल होगा, आतंकवाद में भी हो सकता है। कमाल की बात है, फिर सरकार क्या करती है? अगर पैसा देश के पैसा कोई कमा रहा है और हमारे देश के खिलाफ इस्तेमाल कर रहा है और आप आके यहाँ बोल भी रहे हो, सरकार उसके ऊपर कोई कार्रवाई भी नहीं कर रही है। अगर आपके पास प्रूफ है तो कार्रवाई कीजिए ना, जेल में डालिए। किसने आपको रोका है जो देश के खिलाफ पैसे का इस्तेमाल करता है? ये भारतीय जनता पार्टी के लोगों को क्या हो गया है? कैसी बहकी बातें करते हैं, कहेंगे कि यहाँ बांग्लादेशी आ रहे हैं।
पूरा अधिकार है आपको अनुराग जी, पूरा अधिकार है आपको बीजेपी सवाल पूछने का, और मैं सवाल बीजेपी के प्रवक्ता से पूछूंगा भी, लेकिन हमारे दर्शकों को बस इतना समझा दी कि हलाल सीमेंट और हलाल सरिया क्या है, बस छोटा सा सवाल है।
पूरी बात होने दीजिए, मुझे पूरी बात होने दीजिए। अरे मेरी पूरी बात
सर, जवाब तो दीजिए, सवाल का तो जवाब दीजिए।
मैं आपसे कह रहा था जो आतंकवाद के पैसे किया अरे होने तो नहीं दो ना, फिर मैं सवाल पे आ रहा हूं भाई, मेरे बीच में इतना टोकते क्यों आप तो बीजेपी के प्रवक्ता नहीं।
बोलिए, 30 सेकंड आपके पास,
सवाल पूछ रहे, मैं जवाब दे रहा हूं। मैं अपना एक आधा पोर्शन जवाब दूंगा, फिर आधा दूसरा दूंगा। मैंने बोला कि बीजेपी के प्रवक्ता महोदय भी आतंकवाद के लिए बात कर रहे थे, तो मैंने कह रहा था, हमने बताया कि इस देश के अंदर भारतीय जनता पार्टी जब से आई है तब से आतंकवाद के लोग पैसा भी इकट्ठा करने लगे, बांग्लादेशी भी आने लगे, देश असुरक्षित हो गया, और लगातार यहां धर्म भी खतरे में पड़ने लगे, तो फिर सरकार क्यों है भाई? सरकार कोई शिकायत करने के लिए थोड़ी बनाई गई है। सरकार की जिम्मेदारी बनती है, अगर ऐसी चीजें हैं तो उस पर कार्रवाई कीजिए। ये इस तरह की बातें करने से नहीं चलेगा। दूसरी बात, जहां तक ये हलाल की बात बार बार आती है, मैं कह रहा हूं कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी की एक आदत हो गई है कि जैसे ही चुनाव आता है इन मुद्दों को गर्म करने की कोशिश करती है। नहीं, ये हलाल निकालिए।
अरे सर, पिछले बार भी यही कहा, थोड़ा आगे बढ़ेंगे, समझाएंगे हलाल सीमेंट और हलाल सरिया क्या होता है। और ये बीजेपी के अगर लोग हलाल सीमेंट और हलाल सरिया अगर बेच रहे होते तो आप फिर भी ये बात कर सकते हैं। बट इट्स ऑल्सो अनफेयर मिस्टर भदौरिया, बिकॉज we've all seen what's happened in 26/11. We've seen what's happened in various attacks that have taken place during the Congress regime, particularly in UP1. But let me put that question across to Siddharth Yadav. Siddharth Yadav, the question is this: if there is indeed a link between funds that are collected by certain agencies in the name of halal and they are being misused for terror, does Anurag have a valid question when he asks that why is it not being cracked down upon, if that is indeed the case?
No, Madhav, I think Anurag ji has come up with a reti-reti script and he's only reading that. He has nothing new to offer. But the real question is that when he talks about why suddenly when BJP comes and all of this happens, अरे BJP आई तो आतंकवाद कम हो गया, BJP आई तो इन्फिल्ट्रेशन कम हो गया, UPA1, UPA2 भूल गए क्या? इस देश के अंदर what used to happen, every nook and corner we used to have signs, कोई भी अज्ञात चीज को आप हाथ मत लगाइएगा, do not touch any unattended चीज, इसमें बम हो सकता है. These were the announcements. Now things have changed. But when my friend, I just wish to take 20 seconds to apprise my friend Tehseen, and I'll only speak on this issue. When you say what is the problem, क्या होता है, लॉज क्यों होते हैं, you are not furthering the argument. You have to understand, Tehseen, that when such a parallel economy is generated, when businesses are forced to do this, a lot of constitutional provisions are violated. Okay. This is a fact, and that is what is being argued in the court. There is an Article 91G of the Indian Constitution, which gives the right of free trade to businesses.
Tausif, I want Tausif to quickly respond to that. There's limited time, so 30 seconds each. Tausif, quickly respond to that. You may be talking about the right to practice one's religion, but there are other constitutional rights that are being impinged upon, is the argument coming from Ishkaran and from others. Please respond.
No, the banning of the halal certification actually infringes upon the right of a non-Muslim who prefers to eat halal food, which they consider a scientific process. For example, how meat is prepared in and certified halal, it is cut in a way so that the blood comes out of the stream and the meat is more clean and tender and more scientific and hygiene for consumption. Now, if anyone who is a non-Muslim, let's say if it is not a matter of faith, it is only a matter of scientific and clean and hygienic approach.
Let us assume that is right, since meat is not even the subject of discussion. What about Sharia? What about Sharia and cement? What is halal Sharia and halal cement? Which are the arteries and veins being cut out over there?
Sharia, you talk about Sharia and cement, but then there is also something called haram and halal income. What is it? The concept of haram and halal is...
Sir, how does cement and Sharias have anything to do with halal and haram income? I'm not understanding this.
The people of Muslim faith want to follow this.
Okay.
I know.
Okay.
I can tell you about use of alcohol. I can tell you about the illegitimate income which is considered haram.
You know, Dr. Ranganathan, the last few minutes have been very interesting because I'm asking a question, I'm getting the answer from a totally different, area. It's like I'm speaking to somebody else every time I ask the question. Did you get any of that logic, Dr. Ranganathan? Is there a fair point? Is there a fair point to be made that, at the end of the day, everyone has a right to practice their religion as per the constitution, and that right somewhere or the other, given particularly that the NABCB and the QCI have given this accreditation and given it on the basis of the rights that the governments have in fact granted to them?
No, the best comment of the whole debate was coming from you, Madhav, when you said, please tell me which artery has been cut in cement to make it halal. And I'll tell you, if this show goes on for longer, I would have to cut my jugular vein. It is the amount of irrationality that is being preached out here is unbelievable. Number one, as far as Tehseen is concerned, would he or would he not agree that free market has got nothing to do with government certification? If government certifies, the only agency that certifies whether something is halal, vegetarian, non-vegetarian is government, nobody has a problem.
Okay.
Number two, one thing I would blame Yogi ji. Please give me 10 seconds. The state of education in a state is appalling. You have a panelist out here who doesn't know the difference between halala and halal. मैं नहीं समझाऊंगा उनको, घर जाके पूछ ले किसी से, मदानी जी से. नंबर 2, जो ये टेरर एक्टिविटी जो बीजेपी स्पोक्सपर्सन ने कहा, बिल्कुल ठीक कहा. जमाते उलामे हिंद जो है, जो जमाते उलेमा हिंद जो कि हलाल सर्टिफिकेशन एजेंसी है, वो टेरर सस्पेक्ट्स को लॉयर प्रोवाइड करती है. कमलेश तिवारी के किलर्स को लॉयर प्रोवाइड किया.
Okay.
फंडिंग टेरर सपोर्टर्स. सो देयर इज अ डायरेक्ट लिंक आउट देयर. माधव क्या बोल रही है?
Okay. For want of time, Dr. Ranganathan coming in, I would like to have a much longer debate on this. In fact, very interesting panel that we have today as well. But Siddharth Yadav, Ishkaran Bhandari, Dr. Anand Ranganathan, Tehseen Poonawala, Anurag Bhadoria, Tausif Ahmed Khan would have to leave this debate number 1 on the Newshour agenda right here this evening.